Hey guys, Cal here today with the 2024 Kia Forte LXS, and according to Cars.com, this is the third cheapest new car in America right now. Now this is the LXS model. It's one step above the base model. It stickers for $21,820 and it is finished in gravity gray. Now we all kind of assume nothing cheap is good, right? Well, that's kind of what I'm here to figure out today. So let's take a look at the Kia Forte. Is this car any good? All right guys, so the first thing I noticed about the brand new Kia Forte with this key here, as you can see, pretty cool kind of polished aluminum finish on this edge of the key here. You can see you have the lock, unlock, you have the button to pop your trunk open as well as your alarm button down there. Now the only thing, also by the way, it is a switchblade design just like the old school Volkswagen keys were back in the day. So if anybody comes up on you at nighttime, you just pull that real quick, say, hey man, I'm not messing around. Anyway, check this out. When you lock it, look at this. It is the most obnoxious honk I have ever heard. Like, you know, when you hit it a couple times to like hear the honk to make sure it's locked. Listen to this honk. This is the most aggressive honk I've ever heard. Look. Listen to how loud that is. That is so... All right. Oh my God, it is ear piercing. All right, and checking out the front end of the Kia Forte LXS, you'll see really nothing special up here, really nothing too crazy. Now you will see this new redesign of the logo they've done in the last few years. I think this has definitely helped freshen up the look for the brand overall. I mean, even just changing that emblem up here gives the car a whole new fresh look. But these headlights, pretty modern looking. You kind of have these cool textures within the headlamp. You have that little silver metallic paint right there that runs around the entire front end, goes into the grille right there, as you can see. And your headlights here, you will see that your turn signals are just halogen bulbs, and then your headlights themselves are just a projector bulb right there. So a little old school looking, but overall such a simple design that it's really hard for it to look too old. It still is a pretty modern look up here. Your grille in the middle here just has a flat black plastic. It's not really shiny or anything like that. And then down below for your intercooler grille, it is the same thing. It's just a flat black plastic, really nothing too crazy down there. And then on each side of the front bumper, you do have these two vents right down here that have also that flat plastic finish. But these vents up here do appear to be functional because they do appear to be going somewhere. So I think that does offer a little bit of extra cooling for the brakes, which is pretty cool. And popping the hood of the 2024 Kia Forte LXS, you will see the naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder putting out 147 horsepower and 132 pound-foot of torque. Now that is all routed to a CVT transmission, so I'm a little disappointed to see that CVT transmission, but pretty much every car in this class does have a CVT transmission, so it is expected. But there is one plus side to the CVT, and that low speed around town kind of driving, it is very fun and zippy to drive thanks to that CVT, so there is one plus side to it. And in this economy, I know we all do appreciate a car that is fuel efficient, and that is exactly what the Kia Forte is here with this 2-liter engine. You're looking at about 28 miles to the gallon in the city, you're looking at 39 miles to the gallon on the highway, and 32 miles to the gallon combined. All right, now checking out the side of the Kia Forte here, you guys can get a second look at that gravity gray. That paint does have a pretty nice shimmer in the sunlight, actually. I do quite like this paint color. These rims down here, these are just a 16-inch wheel. These have, you can see, it's kind of that dark gray metallic paint in those pockets there. And then it comes with that nice machined finish on the outside face. So I think overall that is a pretty good looking wheel there. And I'm imagining that these tires have to be dirt cheap to rebuy online once these are worn out. These are the Kumo Solus tires. These are a 205/55 16, so with how small that tire is, I'm imagining these are going to be pretty inexpensive to replace once they do go bad. You have your side mirrors here on the LXS model. You can see that they are painted body color. There is no turning signal indicator. There is no blind spot warning on this model, you can see, so do note that on the LXS. And then one thing I wanted to mention about the door handles here is that these do not have passive entry, so do keep that in mind. I think a lot of us nowadays, due to the, I guess, just modern day and age that we're in, we kind of assume that every single car has passive entry now. Well, it is not the case for the LXS, so do keep that in mind. To unlock the door, you're just going to go ahead and hit your second button down just like that, and then go ahead and open your door just like that. And then as for your fuel door in the back here, you can't click it from the outside. It's not going to do anything if you do that. It's not one of those fuel doors. You do have to go inside here, open up your front door. You'll see you have your trunk release, and then you'll also have your fuel door release down there. So you're just going to pull up on that, and then that'll pop your fuel door open. And as you can see from the inside of the fuel door, there's no warnings or anything in here that say that you have to put premium or anything like that into your Kia. It will run on just 87. Okay, now here we are at the rear end of the Kia Forte, and you will see, just like we saw up front, that updated Kia logo right in the center gives it that very fresh, updated look in the rear end here. I do love that new logo that they're using. What I like about this top row here is that they do have this kind of dotted pattern in the middle right below the Kia logo that kind of looks like what they did on the Kia K5, so it kind of ties it in with that brand identity. So I really do like that. Gives it a cool look back here. And then down below, your turn signals right here, they have a very cool vented design here. It's not like one whole light bulb. It's kind of 5 different sections that give it this cool vented look. So they really tried with the design there. And then right below that turn signal is your reverse lights down there, also in that vented light housing design down there. And then right below all that, right below the rear bumper, is your, I guess you could call it, diffuser down here. It's nothing functional, obviously, down here, but I did want to mention it because it is a very cool design. I mean, for this being one of the least expensive cars in America, you can't say they didn't try with the design. I think they did a really good job. It has a very fresh, modern look back here, and you might not know it's an economy car if you weren't a car person. All right, now as for trunk space in the Kia Forte, you're looking at about 15.3 cubic feet of space back here. You can see it's a pretty deep trunk in here, and it is to note that the Toyota Corolla trunk for 2024 is only 13.1 cubic feet, so you do get about 2 cubic feet of extra space here in the 2024 Kia Forte LXS. All right, guys, now it's time to sit in the back seat of the Kia Forte, and you will see that the front seat here, it is in the same position it just was when I was driving. I didn't mess with it at all, and surprisingly, I am still able to swing behind this front seat after I was just driving, which in a car of this class is pretty impressive for me to be sitting back here behind myself. That to me is incredible. One thing I did notice about the back seat here is that there are no chargers for the rear seat passengers. Usually in a lot of cars nowadays, you see on the back of the center console, there will be chargers for your rear seat passengers. There's none of that back here. On your door panels here, they do have these little door pockets for like a water bottle or something like that. But the back seat is a pretty plain place to be, but I guess this car is priced so well I can't really complain. But there really is not a whole lot going on in the back seat of the Kia Forte here. Now it's time to take a seat in the front seat of the Kia Forte here, and when I first sat in this car, I was like, man, this thing is going to be the tiniest little shoebox, because on the outside, with this being, you know, a smaller car, you're like, there's no way it's going to be spacious inside. But we saw from the back seat, it is pretty big back there, and in the front seat, it is no different. With me being 6'2", I was astonished. I was able to put the seat back this far. Look at this. If you see here, when I take my foot off of the footrest here, you can see me being 6'2", I am able to pretty much put my leg perfectly straight right there. So I'd say this would be not only a good car for taller people, but also a good car for road trips as well. As for your door panels, just like the rear door panel, we had a little bit of silver trim right up at the top there leading into the door handle. You have all your window switches right there, your lock and unlock, your little mirror adjuster switch. And then over here, you just have your dash brightness. You have that adjustment right there. Turn your traction control off. And one thing that I thought was really interesting about this car is that it's one of the few modern day cars that still has, look at this, it is a manual parking brake. It's not an electronic parking brake, it's a manual parking brake in here. So that is really, really cool to see. I really just love the whole old school nature of this car. When I first got in and took it around the lot, I just had a smile on my face because it feels like a car from a different decade in here. And for whatever reason, it's refreshing. It doesn't have necessarily a huge TV screen on the dashboard. I mean, it's still a pretty big screen. I think this is maybe a little bit bigger than the screen that's in my 21 Silverado. Maybe it's the same size. Maybe it's like 8-inch or something. But yeah, this whole car in here has such an old school nature to it that it's refreshing to get into. I absolutely love it in here. And now it is time to get the Kia started up and get that AC pumping, because it is like 85 degrees today. It is so hot. So we're gonna pop our switchblade out just like that, and we're gonna go ahead and Find the ignition back there. There you go. And there you are. She comes to life. Does a little system check action for you, and you have your digital speedometer in the center. So I do love the interior in here. It's got a very fresh, crisp look, easy to look at. There's nothing confusing or crazy anywhere. It's all just very simple, straightforward, and to the point. So I really love the interior in here. All right, in the interior of the Kia, you will find your AC vents on the driver and passenger side are circular, and then you just have those straight AC vents in the middle. And these have a really flossy, just kind of buttery smooth feeling to them. So really cool air vents right there. And then your steering wheel here, it does have a great vinyl texture to it, if you can kind of see that on camera. I don't know why, but I almost prefer these steering wheel materials to like a leather wrap steering wheel. I just think that these vinyl steering wheels are easier to grip than the leather wheels. I don't know, is anybody else with me on that? Am I just crazy? But I think these vinyl wheels are really nice. It's got great 10 and 2 grips. It's got great 9 and 3 grips. On the steering wheel here on the left side, you're going to have your voice button for your Siri or Bixby, whatever you want to call it. All your voice functions are going to be on that button there. If you hit mode, you're going to see that it's going to switch you from AM to FM. Do keep in mind, there is no Sirius radio in here. I did see a shark fin up on the roof, so I thought that there was going to be Sirius radio. So I was a little disappointed to see that there's not. So do keep that in mind if you are a fan of Sirius radio. You have your button to control the volume right there. Go ahead and turn the volume up, and then this will switch through your favorites. That little dial to the right of the volume button will switch through all your favorite stations that you have set in the car. You have your button to pick up and hang up phone calls right below that. And then this button, this little star, you can program the star to do a few different things. You can see them up on the screen here. You can program the star, put it into privacy mode, create a voice memo, or put it into quiet mode. So you got a few different features that you can do with that star button. I don't think I'd ever end up using it myself. Doesn't seem very useful, but you do have that over there. On the right side of the steering wheel, if I do hit this pages button right here, you will see that it'll take me through 4 different pages up on the screen up here. You have all your settings right there on the 3rd page. On the 4th page, it'll display your tire pressures. And then on the 1st page, it'll display things like your forward collision alert and things like that, your lane keep assist. And then you have your 2nd page, which is where you're going to spend most of your time. You have that digital speedometer. And then if I use this little toggle switch, we can go through, see our trips and average fuel economy, things like that. So very simple display up here. Nothing that you didn't want, but it has everything you need. So I really do like that simple approach up to that screen there. And then this button right here will turn on your adaptive cruise control. And then you have your lane keep assist button down here, and lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control are both standard on the Kia Forte now. So that is pretty cool. And I am already having a lot of fun with the radio in this car because there's a really funny option on here, voice memo, but you have your phone button right up there. That is obviously where all your contacts and all that stuff is going to be. Phone projection, that's if you want to plug into the USB and do some things like Apple CarPlay. Over here you have your radio button. If you hit that, obviously, like I said earlier, it is just FM, AM. You don't have anything like Sirius radio on here, so do keep that in mind. Then if we go back to that home screen, you're going to see media down here. That's going to be how you're going to get to your Android Auto and your Apple CarPlay right over there. And then your quiet mode, which as you can see here, when quiet mode is selected, radio media is played only in the front seats. So I guess, I don't know, if you had maybe like a baby sleeping in the back seat and you kind of just want to keep the volume nice and quiet up here, that is what you would use that for. So kind of a neat feature for parents. I do like that. User manual is all digital now. So you have your entire user's manual right in digital format there. And then setup is exactly what it sounds like. Gives you the setup for the whole car right there. And then if I go back to that home screen, this is that voice memo I was talking about. Listen to how hilarious this is. So I just created this voice memo a couple minutes ago, and we're gonna check it out. You get to play it. So these will be stored in here until you delete them. But you know, if you have like, I don't know, some kind of great idea and you want to make sure you don't forget it, you can keep it in this voice memo thing here. So check this out. Hey, make sure you pick up milk at the store later, will ya? Like, I don't know, man. I just wonder, like, whose idea was that at corporate to just be like, hey guys, you know what? While I'm driving down the road, what I always wanted was a voice memo in my radio. I don't know who hashed that idea. I mean, it is a good idea, and like, it does make me laugh. Like, I don't know, for me, I would probably just end up screwing around with it more than anything, just kind of saying like funny, stupid things in it just to listen to later, or like, I don't know. It's just kind of cool. So yeah, that really did crack me up quite a bit. And also wanted to say big props to Kia for keeping a physical volume button and a physical seek button on the right side there. Do like to see that. Got your little hazards button in the middle there, and then all your climate control. Notice it's not a dual zone climate or anything like that down here. It is just single zone climate, but very easy to use, very approachable. As soon as you get in the car, you'll know exactly what you're doing. You have your fan speed right there. You have your button for the AC, your temperature, and then what position you want the air to go into. And then down below here, your chargers, you see you have a charger there, a little USB there, another USB there, and then a 12 volt plug over here. Now, one thing I'm not seeing, by the way, these doors down here are very chintzy. You have to be incredibly careful with them to make sure you don't snap them off as soon as you buy the car. But you'll see I have a little drive mode selector down here. So if I hit that, it's going to put it into sport mode. Look at that. Smart mode. So if I want to save some gas, and then back to normal mode. And on your cup holders, I don't think the cup holders are going to pass the Yeti test. Let's go ahead and check it out. Oh man, look at that. It doesn't even fit. Oh, come on. It just sits there. So if you go, yeah, look at that. Come on, man. Yeah, so these are not Yeti friendly cup holders. Definitely wish it had some slightly bigger cup holders in here, but hey, it might fit your Stanley, but I can't make any promises about the Yeti here. And then as for storage space in here, really nothing too spacious. I do wish there was a little bit more storage in here, but I do understand it is a sedan. It's not an SUV, so it shouldn't be a huge storage capacity in here. But I do have my iPhone's case here just kind of for reference. So like if you were putting a phone in there, how big it would be. And you can see that even with just setting my phone case in there, it's still at an angle. It's not laying down flat. So really not the biggest storage cubby in here. I do wish it was a little bit larger. Like even, yeah, it's not even cell phone deep in the storage cubby. So, all right, guys, taking the Kia Forte LXS for a little spin here. Not really a ton to talk about, but I figured we would take it for a little drive to see how that 2-liter performs. I will put it into sport mode here, and then we'll go ahead and turn the AC off, and we'll see how this little 2-liter does when she is not under stress. It should be a zippy little car, so I'm excited to see how it is. We'll go ahead and bust a left here. 147 horsepower, 132 pound-foot of torque, so decent numbers on paper for a little 4-cylinder like this that doesn't have a turbo, but we're gonna see how it does, because this is a pretty small car, and we do have that CVT transmission up front, so I'm imagining this should be pretty zippy and fun. So let's go ahead and check it out. We're gonna get out on the road here. All right, guys, here we go. And definitely takes off quick off the line. And there you go. That was pretty quick. Oh my God. For a little car like this, guys, I know, you're like, all right, there's no way this car can be fun. But I really want you guys to go out and actually drive this thing, because between the CVT transmission, the great feeling steering wheel in your hand, I love the feel of this steering wheel. Even though it is vinyl, it has a great feel to it. Like I said, it's got great 10-2 and 9-3 grips. And the steering on this is pretty darty. It is pretty direct, and it's pretty fast steering. I love the engine, the fact that it doesn't have a turbo. All right, guys, one more quick acceleration run. AC off in sport mode. Let's go. There you go. It's just like that. This car, guys, I'm not kidding, is so much fun. I mean, for a base model car, this isn't even the GT trim or anything like that. This is so fun. You guys have to come drive this thing in person to see how fun this is. And I also wanted to mention how quick this thing turns around. I mean, when you're in like a tight parking lot, or you're trying to get into those tight parking spaces, not only is the size of this car already pretty small in general, but the turn-in on the steering wheel is so quick. The rack just has such a quick ratio that you get that turn as soon as you need it. So I love that on this car. And also, as for seat comfort in here, it is pretty good. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of cloth seats. I myself don't mind cloth seats. I think if a cloth seat is done well, it can actually be a little bit more comfortable than some leather seats that I've sat in. So this cloth seat is done pretty well in here. I think they did a great job with it. It's comfy, pretty supportive. I do have to say I wish there was some more lumbar support. There is really no lumbar support in this seat. Pretty comfortable so far, and I've been in the car for about an hour and my lower back still not aching. Even though we don't really have that lumbar support, my lower back still feels pretty good in these cloth seats. Okay guys, now back in my own car here. I've had a little bit of time to think about the Kia Forte LXS as a whole and who it's for. So I think the first customer that comes to mind is somebody who is maybe on a budget and they still want a new car so they can have something that's problem-free. And I think the Kia Forte solves that problem. You know, it is an incredibly budget-conscious car. I mean, how many brand new cars nowadays in this economy are you finding in the low $20,000 price range? I think that's an incredible bargain for a brand new car. And they also come with an incredible warranty too. So that's another thing to consider, is that insane Kia warranty. I'll have all that info on the screen here so you guys can take a look at that. And then the second customer I have in mind for this car is somebody who maybe just wants an analog driving experience. You know, in this age where it seems like entire dashboards are turning into touch screens and TV screens and things like that, the Kia Forte, the reason I loved driving it is because the whole driving experience is so analog. I mean, it feels like a car from like 2010, which I know a lot of people would be like, well, why would I buy a brand new car if I want it to feel like 2010? Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but if you're somebody like me who you like that analog driving experience, you're sick of having all that crazy, you know, just that level of connectivity in your cars nowadays, I think that this analog driving experience when you get in is really refreshing. So you guys are going to have to go drive it yourselves to see what I'm talking about, but just it is such an awesome feeling in the interior. All right guys, that wraps it up for this week's review of the 2024 Kia Forte LXS. I wanted to give a quick shout out to my friends over at Bob Johnson Kia for letting me use this Kia Forte to review for you guys. I'll have all their info in the description down below if you guys are interested in checking them out. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.